April 2023 video horoscope with me, Lada from astrolada.com. Guys, April eclipse season starts. Wow, we're gonna have the first eclipse in Aries, the first with North Node since 18 years ago. So big shifts are about to happen, and we're gonna have the luckiest day of the year. Jupiter will join the sun. For every one of us, some powerful new creative inspirational opportunity will appear that will make us feel more alive. We'll talk through all of that. And Mercury goes retrograde, but who cares? But the eclipses and Jupiter and the sun. But before I start, I just want to let you know that this is my birthday month, and I only do once a year discount of almost 50% of all of my courses. Only my courses. It's not going to repeat again this year. I'm doing it just for my birthday month for 2-3 weeks. So if you'd like to learn any of my courses, I have foundational, short, long. I will put a link below to all my courses, so you can this is the last time I'm doing it this year, and possibly for years ahead, because I'm gonna do a very different way. We're gonna do a subscription from then on, so it's, so we'll see. So thank you so much. Let's begin the April 20, Sun, Moon, Rising, April 2023. Leo, this will be very helpful, very positive month for most Leos, because the most important events are happening in fire. So just to tell you, summary of the whole sign: very lucky, very positive overall, great inspirations. But let's start day by day. At the very beginning of the month, Saturn is becoming visible for the first time in your 8th house. So it's the birth of new structures, new rules and regulations regarding 8th house. So it can be the birth, some new developments regarding taxes, insurances, inheritances that can come into your life, that you have to start taking more responsibility there, restructuring something, reorganizing something, some new limits or demands. Or also, this is your mutual finances with a partner, whether you're married, your mutual finances, so you have business, or you have business. This is the finances of your not just partners but clients. So it's very financial house, so it might be the beginning to put some new rules in regards to finances, taking and giving and receiving financial material support of any sort. If you've been giving too much to others without considerations, now it's time to set ground rules and limit. And Saturn is about building walls and being more cautious and more discriminate who you give and who you let in, and who you receive from and who you give to. It can be the time to build some new plan and new foundations about your mutual finances, resources, and so on. Of course, it's very psychological house, but we spoke way more in depth in the March videos. If you want to check out what can be being born for you now, what can be the new beginnings there, check this video. But let's go to the other important event. There is a full moon in your 3rd house on the 6th of April, and this full moon is happening on the axis of the 3rd and 9th houses. But around the 6th, a few days before and a week after too, there can be a focus on some short trip, for example, and going to and fro, traveling, and there can be stimulation more of mind, of communications, exchange of relatives and people in your close environment. It can get busy, more information flow. You can become more curious, more interested in the world around you, what's happening, reading news, or what's, or just being more social with people. And it can, or with family, because it's the moon. And it can also indicate the completion or seeing the results and things picking up with some mental project. Might be a website, might be writing something, might be some kind of a business project where you're using your skills of communication, of writing, of speaking, or whatever skill sets you have, that you're starting to see the results of, that it's starting to culminate. They can be more short trips to and fro, whether it's for entertainment or for work, And there is this eclipse, this full moon is part of course, you get more emotional in your communications. You can use it for good to impact others with more emotional way of communicating, or it can just get more emotional when you're talking with others and so on. But and in your communications, like your mind, the feelings can take over in your communications. But part of this full moon is Chiron. Chiron is exactly opposite the moon. So there can be the sense of some kind of a healing that you experience in April, connected to early childhood, to siblings. Chiron is the wounded healer, and full moon is about completions and seeing results and resolutions. So there can be some kind of a healing in regards to anything to do to third house, in regards to physically, it can be lungs or breathing. Third house, physically, it can be to do or emotionally, some healing in regards to relationships with siblings and relatives. Some long-standing wound, emotional, in regards to communications and self-expression, or being accepted by the social circle as well. There can be such themes that are a bit more painful that come for you. You realize something about it and you heal it in some way. Something that you find a wounding about communicating or speaking or being heard, or your voice, and so on. Then the next big event for Leo, you're gonna really enjoy that one, is the Sun meeting with Jupiter. You're the Sun. Remember, the Sun rules Leo, and every year, once a year, the Sun meets with Jupiter. But for the first time in 12 years, the Sun meets in Jupiter in your ninth house. First of all, ninth house is very Jupiterian house, and Jupiter meeting there with the Sun. So you'd become this whole month, not just on the 11th of April, this whole month, the ninth house and Jupiter energies are so big for you. What is that? That's about having faith. That's about feeling positive. That's about seeing the bigger picture and realizing future plans, realizing where you want to go. The ninth house is the house of the future, and realizing, seeing the long-term picture. So something can happen now, or it can be just a shift in perspective where you feel from a much more positive perspective, where you see much more, not the details, but the larger picture, and you can see much further ahead and away. You can almost have even like a prophetic ability to see ahead and to plan ahead right now. This is probably the most important influence for you this month, this ninth house, this Jupiterian, expansive, more jovial state of mind and mood. More, if it's your moon, for example, in Leo, it will make you more positive emotionally, more expansive. Something good and lucky can happen in regards to your emotional relationships with family, with home, psychological healing, emotional positive feelings. Like connecting to God, even the ninth house is connection to God. If you ever want to see Jesus or whatever, or experience some kind of a mystical experience, some kind of a connection into the higher spirit, higher state of consciousness, now can be a time for some of you, even if you're at that level. Some of you can become more spiritual, more religious now, more connected to your higher power, more inspired. Some of you can find some inspirational figure, a new teaching, or new learning, or new course of education to follow, which is also the ninth house that inspires you. Some of you might start some course of teaching that is very educational, that is very inspirational. Or some new project can appear for you, which is ninth house, that inspires you. And you can get it's very lucky. It can be very positive developments for you for many years ahead, and that's now it's getting either like seeded or it's moving ahead, but it's something ninth house, whether it's teaching or learning, spreading knowledge or receiving knowledge, inspiration, uplifting of consciousness, higher vibration overall, and overall more luck. And it also can be a great time to travel for you this month. Faraway place you haven't seen, or foreign place, take a plane or whatever. And as I said, there can be even some healing around themes connected to, because of the full moon before that with Chiron, to higher knowledge as well, to travel. And there is also this opportunity to expand your consciousness. The ninth houses, you see it almost like a spiritual experience, but you learn something new that expands your consciousness, that brings you new meaning, new purpose. And to feel more joy in life as well, to feel more connected. If it's your sun in Leo, it's overall more vitality, more lucky things connected to your career, your ideas for the future, inspirations. Write them down. It can be, especially around the 11th, they can be very powerful. So traveling, higher education, inspirations, all are things that should go wonderful. Plus there is an eclipse on the 20th of April, again in this 9th house. It's with the North Node. And it's especially later born Leos can feel it, those in the last 7, 8, 10 degrees of the sign. But again, there is some focus again, and this eclipse says the next 12 months, actually the next 2 years, there will be a year and a half, there will be eclipses in your 9th house. So they're starting now. The whole month you would feel this change of beliefs, spiritual awakening, as I said, for some of you. Learning something new direction, new inspirations for the future. Solar eclipses, fated realignments. Solar eclipses also give access to the invisible worlds. They're like gates. And of course, this eclipse is with Jupiter and square Pluto. Some spiritual awakenings can be triggered by some crisis, some shifts in consciousness, in perspective of how you see something. And you can even free yourself from some long-lasting problems because you've been viewing this problem from the same perspective. And as they know, you can never change perspective. You can never solve a problem from the same state of consciousness as it was created. Well, now you have a rare opportunity starting from April, and I think it will continue later into May as well, and for months ahead, because of there will be following eclipses next year as well into your 9th house. But now the process starts, and with eclipse it can happen overnight for some of you, that there is a shift of consciousness where you suddenly start seeing a long-standing problem from a higher perspective, and it's no longer a problem because you're no longer stuck in that vibration. You see the solution suddenly. So I hope this is it. But also the 9th house is father figures. Let's speak about the more possible negative sides, because some critical situation involving a father figure or teacher figure as well sometimes, but something fated, something that's important. Some of you can discover new teachers, your teacher, to discover who your inspiration is, who to follow. But your beliefs overall will start changing. Your beliefs, and with Rahu there, starting sooner, and I'll speak about it, it will carry for 2 years. There'll be new beliefs introduced to you, something radically different, and so on. And again, of course, with this eclipse, it's about traveling. I mean, it's never advisable to travel right on the day of an eclipse, around the 20th, 19th, 20th, 21st. If possible, don't travel, take planes, and so on. But generally, this eclipse can indicate that something important will be happening for you for the next 6 to 12 months with long-term travel. Something it's starting in with Rahu, so there will be more like exploration or studies or higher knowledge or traveling. So such kind of themes are starting for you that are not just going to be in April, long-term. All right, and then after that, the day right after the eclipse, Mercury is turning retrograde in our 10th house. Actually, you'd feel it before that, because Mercury, like the pre-shadow period, already from the 15th, you'd notice that there is concentration, almost like the whole month, on themes of career as well, on themes of maybe completing, when the Mercury goes retrograde, some project that you've been working on, fixing it, editing it. That will require a lot of your mental skill, knowledge, or information, and editing information, working, redoing something, whether it's online, whether it's writing reports, redoing, putting extra details. A retrograde planet requires 3 times more efforts. Things might slow down there, so you can correctly correct them, so you can edit them, so you can replan, so you can try plan B, plan C. It might work much better. And to see things from a little bit different perspective when it comes to something with your career or some project. And hopefully by the time in May, when Mercury turns direct, you'd have 3 times more better project, so to speak. But if you want to like do something important in regards to your career, like present, report, or anything like that, to do it before, I'll say before Mercury goes invisible even. Mercury goes invisible, let me just see, on the 17th. So yeah, do it before the 17th. of April, any kind of, and try and get, and after that, because after that it's time for fixing, for correcting things, to do anything with your career and so on. So all important things that you want to put out to the public, to write, to speak, or if you can do it before that, it will be easier and you'll get much greater results. But after that, when Mercury goes retrograde, it's time to revise, to review. Sometimes it can mean like a job comes back to you. If you're applying, a career opportunity from the past come back to you, or an old project comes to be redone and fixed or revived in some way, edited and so on. It can also mean that you might have some important conversations with authority figures and bosses of some sort, and you might have to resolve something there, speak some unsaid things, bring things from the past, or work with them with extra effort and focus and attention to detail in some way. So that's what it is for most of us. It is like I said, this ninth house is the most important. Venus will be entering your 11th house, from the 11th of April. So that's great time for socializing. From the 11th of April to the end of the month, social activity of any sort, increasing following if you want, as well. This can be, it happens, you're more popular as well. It can be even better for gains and income in some way, or having pleasant experiences with friends. And of course, Mars is in our 12th house the whole time of the month. Just be more careful, because that's usually tends to be more spending, and you can feel a little bit less. I think you'd have energy no matter what, because the sun here in fire sign with Jupiter, most of the month the energy will be, positive. It's just with Mars in the 12th house, sometimes our subconscious desires can be triggered, and a kind of cravings can appear, inexplicable moods and cravings can grab us, which come from the subconscious, and kind of inclination for vices and so on can grab us a bit more stronger. It's not necessary, but I've seen this happen sometimes. And kind of more, it might be good for traveling abroad. Again, we have activation foreign travel here, Mars in the 12th house, traveling abroad, being more active abroad and so on. But sometimes there can be some action behind the scenes, and something that's happening behind the scenes as well. Just be aware of that. All right, so thank you so much. Very busy happening month, Leos.